Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, boys and girls, welcome back to the Investigative Journal. Greg Anthony reporting in as usual here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com. You probably wonder why I start the shows off lately saying, welcome, boys and girls, because if the gender-neutral people have their way, we won't be able to say that any longer, and there won't be any boys and girls left. Everybody will be neutral, so I'll say, welcome, neutral people, to the Investigative Journal. Well, anyway, we got a good show for you today. I got a lot of things to talk about. I'm not going to pull any videos or any interviews. I'm just going to give you the straight talk right from the horse's mouth, and I'm the horse today, right? Oh, well, what I want to talk about today is a little bit about the Trump administration. And the Trump administration is very unique to me because it's the first one, I think, that is really pulling the wool over the American people's eyes. Now, in the past, we've always had a two-party system that was pretty fair and equal. They were both jerks, but they kept the politics as politics. Now we have politics going into a realm of insanity. And Trump is really there to push the insanity on the American people. Of course, we hear things like America First. We're having better trade agreements now with the new after NAFTA, I call it, because NAFTA was that agreement that put us $2 trillion in debt. Not in debt, but $2 trillion. Since NAFTA came into being, that's the trade agreement between Canada, America, and Mexico. We're $2 trillion in the hole. So Trump says, I'm going to resurrect it. I'm going to change this and call it the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. I call it after NAFTA. But, it's not going to change much. And what it'll really do is keep the people thinking that the world is getting better. But it really isn't. The world is getting worse all the time. And my advice to you is stay busy. Find something to do. Become a chess champion. Learn how to play tennis and become a pro. Take up golf. If you're young, start playing baseball. Do something to get your mind away from this insanity, because if you just do this workaday world, the slave world America has set out for you, it's going to be a miserable existence. And the only thing we can really do in life is make it a little bit more pleasant, like I said yesterday. And the reason I said that is it's probably true. We try to change the world and we end up taking 2 steps forward and 5 steps backwards. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. And how can I say that? Well, we're given us so many years on this earth, and mine are kind of running out. And I've kind of looked at it from a perspective of we only have so many years, and what do we have to say about the years we were here? I think the years that I was here earlier were a little better. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about America in general. And it seems to be a downward slide into something that I really have no idea what the hell they want to do, outside of control you and take over everything that you own. But here's what we're going to do today. Instead of thinking about the Vatican-led New World Order and how they screwed us over and how for most of our lives we really didn't understand who they were, what they were doing, and instead of obsessing with them, why don't we pretend today we're in a world without them? And what would it be like? Isn't that an amazing thought? Now you can do that, really, without even just thinking you're putting yourself into a dream. If you take all the things that we think about here on this show and forget about them for at least 1 hour a day, you're going to be a whole lot happier. And that is what I recommend for you. It's called my Vatican Jesuit Catnap. And I recommend that you take it every day. between the hours of 1 and 3 o'clock, even if you're working in some factory or you're working in some office, find a place where you can hide away for at least 30 minutes and go to the storeroom, put your head down on a box, or if you're in an office, find a little area. What I usually do when I worked in an office and I wanted to get away, I would raise my hand and go, "Can I go to the bathroom?" And I would go to the bathroom, lock the door, and I would spend 30 minutes in the bathroom. Yeah. Now I learned how to take a cat nap sitting up on the toilet seat. But my recommendation for you is what I call my health tip of the day, so that you can lead a little bit better life if you choose to find out the truth and somehow uncover it. So let's say that you understand that the Vatican-led New World Order is going to kill you and is going to make the world so terrible that you don't even want to be here. And let's just say that you realize that Revelation 17 and Revelation 18 are putting you in a situation of doom, because it's been prophesied in the Bible that this Antichrist group will take you over. Right. Now, my recommendation is to read the Bible, to understand the Bible, to understand that Revelation 17 and 18 lay out your course, lay out your direction no matter what you do. You have no say in this. God wrote it through his mediators, and that's what's going to happen. Now, I am speaking to the faithful. I am speaking to those who have faith that that book is real. And I'm not saying it isn't, but there's a whole hell of a lot of people out there that don't think it is. So what do I do on this show? I try and talk about it from all points of view. Now let's look at it from the person who is skeptical. Not me, of course. I have no opinion, no thoughts. I have no beliefs. I am just a voice on the radio. So let's think of it that way. I am this voice that God generated, or no God generated, or I came from a different alien planet to put these ideas into your head. And what am I trying to say? If you are ruled by Revelation 18 and 17, you realize that God prophesied that the Vatican-led New World Order and its Antichrist group would take over the world, destroy everything, and then create an Antichrist that everyone would follow and praise and love, basically loving Lucifer. And then in the end, God will come down and save everybody who's ever left. And that's the faithful's beliefs. Now, there are those out there who think, well, perhaps that the book wasn't written by God and it's only men that did it. And there's an analogy I want to make right here that's really important before I really get to my catnap snooze that's going to really help you get through all this. It's my health tip, and I'm only going to charge you $25 for it. You can contact me at gregbeacon@gmail.com, and I will send you instructions on how to take the Vatican-led New World Order Jesuit catnap so that you can survive Revelation 17 and 18. At least while you're here. Because we all know that once we're born, we're beginning our trek to death. So, for those of you who do not believe that the book was written by God and think it was written just by men, let me give you an analogy. There are those in the faithful belief system of God that say and believe that the Vatican people wrote the Koran to create an enemy for Christianity. And so my analogy is this: for those of you who don't believe that the Bible was written by the hand of God, you can argue that certain men wrote the Bible so that they would create an enemy for traditionalism, so that the enemy would constantly exist and, in a sense, lead you to believe that God exists, and they would follow the prophecies of God that they created to get what they wanted. So they create an illusion of God, create an enemy in the Bible towards traditional Catholicism, and push this idea throughout history, killing millions and millions and millions until they get their one world order, one world government. And I'm using the analogy that many of the faithful believe that men wrote the Quran to create an enemy. So there are those in the faithful group that have to realize that there are people that can use this analogy as a kind of a lever to say, hey, listen to us. Now, I've presented both sides. Now there's another side to this coin, and this coin is like, there are people, probably the majority, who don't give a damn about any of it, who could care less if you're the faithful and believe in God, could care less if the Vatican wrote the Quran, could care less about anything but just their existence here on earth. Somebody asked me today, Greg, where do you think you're going when you die? And I say, it depends on what day I die. And they said, why? I said, because on Monday, I'm not in a very good mood. Tuesday, I'm a little better. Wednesday, I get really pretty looking forward to the end of the week. Thursday, good. Friday, good. Saturday, I'm going to heaven. So it depends on the day I'm going to die to tell you where I'm going. Now, you know I'm making a joke that was pretty bad, by the way. But the point is, that question to me is ridiculous in a sense. I know it's to pry out who you really are, but who are you really? Because in my estimation, all of us have doubts about everything in life. Otherwise, why live? I mean, if you're born and you know everything, then I guess you don't need to be around anymore, right? You've known it all, go away, right? Isn't that the way you feel about the guy in this room that knows it all? Just get him out of here. So, here we go with that age-old question. Why are we even talking about this? It becomes one of the most stressful, anxiety-ridden things we ever do in our life. And so what I provide for you now is what I call my cure. What I call the only way you can exist knowing the truth, and that's to take my Vatican Jesuit catnap every day. And what that means is this. You're going to take 30 minutes out of your day to basically escape. Escape what, you say? Regenerate your body. Regenerate your soul if you think you have one. Regenerate everything about you during that day so you can wake up the next day looking forward to your afternoon catnap. Now, what if you're driving and you have a sales job? Here's what I recommend. I used to have a sales job where I used to drive all over hell and back. I would pull over on the side of the road in a very country-like place. I'd walk out of my car, and I said, well, there's no 7-Eleven around, so I better take a leak on that tree over there. And I'd see that tree, and I'd do that, and I'd walk a little bit farther, and I'd take my catnap. 20 minutes! And man, I was ready to go for the rest of the day. So, what I've done is I've incorporated all of these skills that I've had over the years, And I learned this really well when I lived in Italy, because there you're allowed to take about a 2-hour cat nap every day. And you'd eat lunch at 1 o'clock. You'd be done. The shops are closed. You go somewhere and you sleep for 2 hours. You wake up at 3:30. Eyes are a bit droopy. And you get through the day and you eat dinner about 8 o'clock. You go to the shops before that. You're out walking the streets at 11 o'clock at night, having a little aperitivo, feeling great. And then another day. And I started looking forward to that little cat nap in the afternoon. So then I started thinking, how come people that are looking for the truth are so anxiety-ridden when I'm not? Because I've always taken a cat nap. And then I remember the other day I took one and somebody saw me and they said, oh, he's getting old. I said, no, I used to do this when I was 30. It's just a habit. I love it because I wake up feeling great. Not even knowing what day it is. Not even knowing who the Vatican-led New World Order is. Isn't that a beautiful feeling? You kind of drift off into this world, and then all of a sudden it's the day, and you ever wake up and you go, ooh, wow, what day? What time is it? Where am I? Oh, what a great feeling, isn't it? The best feeling. And I'm only going to sell this to you for $25. $25, and I will send you my kit. It's called the Vatican-led Jesuit New World Order Catnap. And underline that, and it says this: this will relieve you of all stress. This will make you get through the world as you realize that the world is a fantasy. And you realize that the world is not what your mother and father and your sister and brother and your preacher and your government officials told you what's like. And I know you feel alone and depressed. And I know you wake up every day wanting to pull out your hair. And I know you want to get over this. But here's what I recommend. If you follow my instructions, and if you take the proper steps every day, no matter where you're at, this has got to be a 7-day-a-week thing, you will be the happiest person that ever lived in your life. And you'll be able to accept the truth even more. You'll be waking up going, give me more of the truth. I want more. Make America truthful again. That's my slogan. Make America truthful again. And you will see it will benefit you and your family. Well, send your $25 to gregbeacon@gmail.com. Wait, you can't do that. How do you do that with an email? No, go to my website at greganthonysjournal.wordpress.com. $25. There's a donate button there. Say, I want the Vatican-led New World Order catnap routine. And I will personally call you, talk to you about it, and then send you my instructions. Oh boy, on how to do it. So, with that said, let's move on to something important. Yesterday, I was playing something by Bill Hughes, and Bill, years ago, was on my radio show, and he's a good guy. I mean, he wrote a lot of good things, and I know this station is at odds with him for some reason. I don't know why, and I don't really care, because, we're an independent group here on the Investigative Journal. We want to hear all sides. I remember I used to have on Eric Phelps all the time, and then all of a sudden he turned tail, and perhaps is a COINTEL guy or not, I don't know. But I emailed him a few times. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And maybe he thinks that I'm a COINTEL guy. So, we go on. But anyway, Bill Hughes is a good guy, and at least from my perspective. And that's as far as I'll say. And he was talking about some really good things that we forget a lot. We forget a lot about this real connection between the written word in the Bible and what's going on today. And Bill, of course, is a believer, and I really admire that, and I want people to, as believers, to listen to what he has to say. And if you disagree with certain parts, well, that's normal. But also I want people who don't believe in the Word of God and the Bible to think about it in terms of, did men write this to do the same thing? So maybe you can grab onto it that way and realize that they're pushing, they're following this book in order to control you and to take over. The same thing, creating this illusion of God for a reason. So that may entice people to read it. And my goal isn't for you to become a believer or to become an atheist or to become a Buddhist or to become anything. It's just an idea. It's just something that you may find. I mean, I read the Bible, started reading the Bible, not believing in anything. And I'm still reading it and I don't believe in anything. Now, along the way, I did believe in certain things, then I go back and I don't. Now, is there anything wrong with that? Well, I realized that certain Christians are going to try to evangelize me, and then I realized that there are going to be other people who aren't Christians who are going to say, hey, I feel the same way. So where are we all going? We're going down that same path, that same lonely path. When you were born, you came in alone, and when you go, you're going to be going alone. So it pays in the meantime to make your life just a little bit more pleasant. And that's why I recommend the Vatican-led Jesuit New World Order catnap. And I'll tell you how to do it every day. 20, 30 minutes. I even went sometimes in a closet. Worked well. But now, I have my own little place. And I have the time. I can just lay down on the couch for 20 or 30 minutes, maybe a half hour every day. And boy, I'm a new person when I wake up. Ready to go again. Ready to take on the truth, battle the truth, look for the truth, have the truth, feel the truth. And all it was just a little bit of time. I'm not preaching meditation. I'm not preaching anything. I'm preaching good sound sleep. What a great idea. Something we've lost, haven't we? So how many nights do you lay awake fighting that pillow, fighting those covers, going, my God, how long is this going to last? Just put me to sleep. I'll tell you, if you take my catnap, you'll have no trouble sleeping every night. And you're going, how? It's a simple process. And it's only for truth seekers. You know what? People that don't seek the truth don't need it. They're into their own world anyway, their own fake world. Let them have fun with it. It's for you truth seekers who really are having a hard time with life, who feel alone, who feel rejected, who feel you can't say your piece at a family get-together when you go to Christmas dinner. But this catnap will help you. It'll make you get through it because you are doing it. And I'm going to teach you how. Greg Anthony here. Now, go to greganthonysjournal.wordpress.com, hit the donate button, $25, and I will send you everything you need. Just put there, I want the catnap. All right. And I'll be back. I'm going to play Bill Hughes again. I did that yesterday. And we'll get through that. And then I'll see you the next day. And hopefully you'll be starting to take those truth catnaps to get through your life. To make it worthwhile. To make it a little bit more pleasant. While we battle these evil forces that seem to be coming at us from all directions. Back in 3 minutes on what? The Investigative Journal here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening.
Okay, boys and girls, back for the second half hour of the Investigative Journal. Isn't it great? God, we've come up with a new plan to get through the day, right? Isn't it difficult sometimes? You know, when you're searching for the truth, you feel alone and you feel like, wow, where are we at? How come nobody thinks this way? Well, I told you my plan, and hopefully you'll take advantage of it. But I really want to get back to what I did yesterday. Bill Hughes is a guy that was on my show many times. And he wrote a book, a couple little books. I told you I like them because they're very short and I can comprehend them after years of internet exposure. I still can read at least an 80 to 90 page book, hopefully, if it's about the Vatican-led New World Order, because I have been programmed to do that by my handlers, so says Alex Jones. So, anyway, let me play Bill Hughes and we'll get back to that ISIS-CIA connection. And he talks a lot about, they're into now the Iraq war, and we pulled out of a certain area, and we left all of our military stuff for ISIS. It was kind of like a gift on Christmas. You know, the American government giving them billions of dollars of things. All of our American soldiers that died, didn't matter. They turned it over to, guess who? ISIS. Yeah, it was our gift to them. You know, who leaves their toys in the living room before they go to sleep? Nobody, except the American government. You get it? When I was a kid, I had to pick up my toys, put them in my toy box, and then go to sleep. But the American government leaves their toys there for ISIS. Here's Bill Hughes.
I tell you, when I was a kid, I got no respect at all, you know. They always made me take the family picture, and that way I wouldn't be in it. My old man, he didn't help either, kept taking me to the zoo. He said he was hoping my real parents would claim me. I find out that when they use my family, make a sequel to Roots. They want to call it Fertilizer. Now I'm looking forward to a very exciting new venture. Huh? It's not definite yet. She just moved to my building.
I didn't know that.
Nah, but things are real good. In fact, last week I had an offer to work another hotel in Las Vegas.
Another one?
Yeah, Circus.
Oh.
It's a bad deal, though. I gotta bring my own net, you know. But it's always a pleasure to be here. I mean, people are nice here, treat me right, you know. I did another talk show, I got no respect at all. And it was my turn to sit down, they wouldn't move over. I get some rough days, Johnny, rough days. Oh, some days I start drinking early, I'll tell you that. Oh, boy, the other night in Las Vegas, I'll tell you, I got loaded on what I'm doing. I played dice, I lost $1,000. I got even, though. I stole 400 sweet and loaves. Nah, but drinking's bad, Johnny, I tell you. It's not good. I gotta watch my health. That's what's important, health, Johnny, health. Health. I mean, I'm getting old. I'm not a kid anymore. I know I'm getting old. In Vegas, I played a slot machine. 3 prunes came up. You get older, it's tough to get girls, tough. I tell you, John. The best thing to be is bisexual. Then you got a shot at everybody. I'm in bad shape. Drinking, eating, took terrible, mate. My proctologist used to be a photographer. Hey, he took x-rays, told me to bend over and say cheese. Love is important, Johnny. Blind dates are no good. Oh, blind dates are
You have trouble with blind dates?
Oh, I had one blind date. The girl showed up. She had pigtails under her arm.
Under her That's a bad
Yeah, but there's a lot of sexy girls around. I'll tell you that. Oh, I met a sexy girl a few weeks ago. Oh, worked in a restaurant making hamburgers. She told me she could make a big boy in 3 minutes and a boy big in 2 minutes. Very sexy. Now, you meet girls, though, you can't believe them. You can't believe them.
Of course not.
I was with one girl, she said, I don't do this normally. I said, it's all right, but a little weird myself, you know. You gotta have the right woman, boy. That's the answer, the right woman. You make love to the right woman, Johnny, it's beautiful, beautiful. I mean, the last time I made love to my wife, it was ridiculous. Nothing was happening. I looked at her, I said, what's the matter? Can't you think of anyone either? That's enough talk about sex. No more sex, okay? Yeah. I'll tell you right here is sex. With sex, I had it up to here.
Yeah.
Not lately, though, you know. This week, nothing went right. I bought a waterbed. There were 2 Cuban guys swimming in it looking for Florida. I tell you, people are nuts, you know. My dentist, too, another beauty. My dentist, he found a new way to hide his bad breath. He holds up his arms. I tell you, I mean, there's wise guys. Well, I checked in a hotel, I asked the bellhop to handle my bag. He started to feel up my wife.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not Bill Hughes. No. That's Rodney Dangerfield. My God, I haven't listened to him in a long time. You know, I guess we all needed a couple laughs. All right, let's take a poll. For 5 minutes, who do you want to listen to? Bill Hughes and the Vatican-led New World Order, or a few of Rodney Dangerfield's best one-liners? He's not around anymore. I remember one time, I'm going to tell you a story. I lived in New York for a while. Drove one of those hansom cabs. Boy, I'll tell you, it was the best paying job I ever had. And I used to drive around the city looking at, I didn't know New York, and I had the beautiful opportunity to see it from a horse's carriage. Oh boy, could I tell you stories. But anyway, we used to get off like 2 or 3 in the morning. And one morning I went over to Rodney Dangerfield's nightclub. You know, have a little breakfast. And there he was, 3 in the morning, giving a little show. And it was damn good. Well, let's listen to Rodney for a few minutes, just to get a few laughs, to charge our batteries here for Bill Hughes, because we got to get back to that serious stuff. Why the world's coming to an end.
I tell my wife I can never relax, you know. I told her our kid is spoiled. She told me a lot of kids smell that way. She's a lousy cook, too. She can't cook at all. I leave dental floss in the kitchen, the roaches hang themselves. My wife, she don't go for me either. I'm not a good-looking guy. Well, Halloween, I open the front door, kids give me candy. Well, you kidding? I know I'm ugly. My dog found out we look alike. He killed himself. I was an ugly kid, too. My old man took me to the zoo. The guy at the gate thanked him for returning me. I was a very ugly kid. Every time my old man wanted sex, my mother showed him my picture. Well, when I was a kid, nobody was nice. I was 6 years old. I found out there's no such thing as Alpo baby food. I mean, nobody was nice. My mother never breastfed me. She told me she liked me as a friend. I mean, I had it rough. Well, I told my old man I'm sick and tired of running around in circles. He got mad. He nailed down my other foot. I mean, that's the story of my life. No respect. I don't get no respect at all. No respect at all. Well, when I was born, the doctor told my mother I did all I could, but he pulled through anyway, you know? I mean, I don't get no respect from anyone. Well, last week my house was on fire. My wife told the kids, be quiet, you wake up Daddy. You come from Nebraska, it's nice. Midwest is nice.
You like Midwest, huh?
Yeah, I wish I came Midwest sometimes, you know? Oh, Midwest, a nice, small, adjusted town, you know? I had a wooden frame house with a screen door in the back of the kitchen. My brother and sister were Marianne and Biff. And do you hold up the backside, too? Do you have them?
Yeah, I know
You shoulder back? Yeah, that's a cute little thing there.
Now you can understand about no
See
respect.
that? And it's tough to, lose weight when you're all jumping around a bit, but I was much heavier. I was fat, you kid. I was so fat when I got my shoes shone, I had to take the guy's word for it. I mean, I was fat, I'll tell you that. I mean, I was some fat girls, too, I'll tell you that. Ooh. Now, one girl, she was so fat, she got in the scale, a card came out and said, one at a time, She was fat.
That's a big girl.
Remember how we met? I hit her with my car. She said me once go around me. I told her I didn't think I had enough gas. She was a wild girl, I tell you. Very wild girl. She was. You kidding? Well, she made me French toast. Her tongue got caught in the toaster. Now, but I tell you, too skinny's no good eating.
There he is, Rodney Dangerfield. And maybe, you know what? Oh, he's back. Well, he's basically, I think that's enough for Rodney. We got enough laughs. Don't we, why don't we go back to Bill Hughes, okay? We can do that. Yes, we can. Bill Hughes. Come on, Bill. Come on. Let's talk about the Vatican-led New World Order, why don't we? I'm waiting for Bill Hughes. Bill Hughes is on the phone? Come on, Bill. No, he's on the internet. On a video he did, which makes my job really easy, doesn't it? I don't have to do anything anymore. I used to have to call people, set up interviews, and go through all the garbage when the internet didn't work, like it isn't working now. Some things never change. Okay, here we go. Like I said, I keep all my promises. Yes. If you ever meet someone who says that, don't believe him. No one in the history of the world has ever kept all his promises or her promises. It just doesn't happen. There you go. Well, anyway, I'm keeping this one. Here's Bill Hughes talking to Danny Vieira, and he's talking first. Danny is. Here we go. Danny, don't let me down.
And using it to fight us. And they said it would save us $1 billion in shipping costs to get it returned home. So we just leave it there with the keys and the tanks, as it were, for ISIS, to take possession of it. And so it's an ugly thing we've created here.
See, Danny, in the beginning, ISIS, Al Qaeda, they were created to fight against the Soviet menace. Mm-hmm. As the Soviets would invade a country, just as they were doing after World War II, the Catholic Intelligence Agency was funding Germans in Germany, Italians in Italy, Austrians in Austria, you see, to oppose the Soviet invasion and the implanting of communism in their country. But now, Danny, the role of ISIS, the role of Al-Qaeda, it's changing. It's no longer, as we saw in San Bernardino, as we saw in Paris, Danny, it's now changing its purpose. And now, it's not to fight against the communist invaders.
Right.
Now, Danny, it's to create terror in the world, to create terror in Paris, to create terror in America. And Danny, if you watch the aftermath of these bloodlettings, if you watch the aftermath of these terror attacks, Danny, there's always certain calls that are made. Number one, there's a call for unity. And Danny, when it's based on truth, unity is a wonderful thing. Jesus prayed for unity for his children in John 17. But Danny, a false unity that's based on a false pretext, that's not unity at all. That's chaos with a purpose. And Danny, that's what Paris was all about. It was to create a false unity to go after a false enemy. ISIS, Danny, is not the enemy. Babylon the Great is the enemy, Danny. And you see, Danny, you look and you say, well, who cares? Who cares? Let's just fight against somebody. Danny, Jesus in Matthew 24, Jesus said, take heed that no man deceive you. And the world press, the media, the television, the newspapers, they're telling us that the common enemy is ISIS. And Danny, the sure word of prophecy says, no, no, and 1,000 times no. It's not ISIS, it's not Al-Qaeda, it's Babylon the Great. And this awesome book by Paul L. Williams, who was born, raised, educated in the Roman Catholic Church. Paul L. Williams has laid out in this book the creation of the CIA as a Catholic organization created by Pope Pius XII in his knighting, in his ordaining Bill Donovan to be a crusader against communism. And the fact Catholic Intelligence Agency created these militant organizations, first in Europe, but now in the Middle East. And of course, again, we are seeing the role of ISIS changing right before our eyes.
Okay, I've got to make a point here. Okay, some of you are going to wonder why I mistakenly put Rodney Dangerfield on, or why I mistakenly did it and then I let it play, and then I put Bill Hughes on. Well, let me tell you, I did a little experiment with myself. A few laughs with Rodney, and all of a sudden, when I started to really listen to Bill, I was getting a lot more out of it. I really thought to myself, what's really important here? A few laughs with Rodney or Bill? And I said, Bill, of course. But I couldn't have gotten to that point unless I allowed myself to relax, to think of the crazy things in life, to go back and just have a laugh over what you did when you were 16 years old. And that brings to mind, and before I get back to Bill, and I know he'll understand me when I do things like this, it brings to mind when I said, what was I doing when I was 16 or 17? And if you follow what's going on in Washington, we have a Supreme Court nominee who's being raked over the coals because he supposedly was at a party when he was 17 years old, again at Georgetown Prep. And, oh boy, if you know anything about these guys, this is Jesuit perfection. And they got us worried about him. Some girl comes up and says, 38 years ago, he groped me. So now the whole world is wondering why America can't put a Supreme Court justice on. And they're going back to 38 years with an unsubstantiated investigation. The girl doesn't even remember where it was, when it was, and is sure it was him. Kavanaugh, the justice who's trying to be the Supreme Court justice, is saying, I never did it. There was no rape. There was no violence. And they're going back, and they're making the Supreme Court justice admit that, yeah, I used to like to drink beer. Who didn't like to drink beer if they went to a Catholic boys' school like Georgetown Prep or where I went, Notre Dame High School? Come on. These people are driving us nuts. They're doing this on purpose. Come on, people. Follow that Kavanaugh thing and you'll know why this is a farce. While the whole system, they're playing you for fools. Back to Bill Hughes.
They're not fighting communists. They are creating terror with a purpose to bring all the world within the scenario of Revelation 13, Danny, where all the world will wander after the beast.
No, this is fascinating. Fascinating information. And what I'm thinking right now is how the devil is working through the apostate woman to bring about a new world order by creating terror, by creating a villain that's manufactured, that the CIA is connected to. And I'm thinking about how else does the enemy work through the apostate woman to bring about a new world order? And I'm thinking of climate control. I'm thinking, as we move to this now, it's the same goal. Whether they create the villain that we need to press together to wipe out this villain, which they've created. Now we need to press and to bring the world together under this false flag of climate control.
Danny, Francis came out with his much ballyhooed encyclical in June called Praised Be.
Laudato Si.
Okay.
Laudato Si in Italian, yes.
Okay. Danny, in that encyclical, Pope Francis laid out the fact that we have relationships in trouble. We have nations in trouble. We have climate. Our environment is in a terrible, terrible situation. And so Francis came out, Danny, very strongly 6 months ago in his encyclical and said, we've got to find a solution for these problems that are confronting us as a global community.
Yes.
And Danny, the solution that Francis came up with in his encyclical, Danny, this will be the solution that will be pushed forward as terror continues. Now, I know, Danny, that the president of France, after the tragedy that occurred in Paris within the last several weeks, I know that President Obama just came out here within the last 24 hours, Danny, and said, we will contain, or we have contained, ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the Muslim terrorists. But Danny, they have not. They have the papacy, Danny, through the Catholic Intelligence Agency, has opened a can of worms, and now they will continue to use these militant groups that they have created that will dovetail, Danny, so that the world will cry to accept the solution of Pope Francis.
We need to talk about this. I find this fascinating that this religious figure comes out with an encyclical dealing with climate control and science, as he says. False science, by the way, false science. But as we look at this encyclical calls for swift action on climate control. And people are praising Pope Francis, for what he has come forward with. But I want to read this statement to you because I think this is so pivotal here for what we're talking about today. The time for seeking global solution, as you said, is running out. We can find suitable solutions only if we act together and in agreement. So we're seeing a picture developing here.
Yes, we are, Danny. We are seeing a picture develop, and I'm going to use the last 50 seconds to explain that picture. This man that just said that is not God on earth. He's a man, he's evil. He's creating a structure of evil. And he's saying, join me, join me. And you know what? People will do it under the guise that he's the holiest man on earth. Check out his record in Argentina. Check out who he's involved with, the organization, the Jesuits. Check out anything about him outside of the BS they give you from the Vatican. And you will find that when I say he's evil, and so are everybody else in that organization over there. Back tomorrow on the Investigative Journal.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.